especially once you start moving your arms. And you do that by engaging in the back there. For your arms, you want to have space between your upper arm and your body and make a nice long oval. Yeah, good. And you want to have your hands inch or two apart, like your fingers, sorry. And have your thumbs tucked in, so you don't want Pac-Man hands. Yeah, so tucked in. Good. And so this is low fifth or brava with your arms. And you bring them up in front of you, and you want them somewhere between your belly button and your sternum, across from there. And still that nice long oval shape. Yeah, good. And that's first position. Then we open them up, and this is second. So this is the trickiest one. You want your shoulders to be higher than your elbows higher than your wrists, and your wrists higher than your hands. So it's very common to see elbows making a little V here, and the way you shift that is you actually rotate your upper arm in, and then if this ends up like this, you can rotate the lower arm forward again. Yeah, so if it feels awkward, then you're probably doing it right. Yeah, yep, good. Okay, so you're gonna wanna rotate your upper arm even more than you think, because you really wanna make sure that this is a nice line there instead of.
Oh, okay, that causes some, does that make the shoulders round a little bit?
So, yes, and that's when you have to then pull down in here to prevent that from happening, right? So it's a fine line. I can shake it out. It's a fine line between, you know, too much and too little, and so you just find it on your own body where it feels good, doesn't hurt too much, but hurts in like a good muscly way, and creates that shape there. Yeah. Yep. Do you feel how you're opening your ribs though?
Yes.
Yeah. So, in ballet, there's always like a tension between at least two body parts, if not more, at the same time. Right? So you're opening your arms, but you're not opening your rib cage. You're still gonna keep this tight, but keep this open. Keep this open. Yeah? And you never want your arms to go behind your shoulders. Yeah, good. And so you want to make sure that you still have a nice long line, so it goes through your lower arms, right? So if you bend forward, sorry, you're gonna have a bar in front of you. If you want to come in front of the bar, so it's actually, yeah, and you won't run into them. So when you're in this position with your arms, if you bend over, you want to see that rounded position, and it's nice and long, right? So you don't want two bent elbows. You want it nice and long so it's round. Yeah, good. And so when you're looking at it from the front, like if the audience, if you're too short here in this line, it makes your arms look really short because they just see it from dead on. And so if you open it up, then they can see your full line. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you want to take up your space in the room, but not behind your shoulders, because that's automatically going to open everything up. Yeah. And so that's good. Now relax your shoulders and engage here. Yeah. So it helps keep those down. And then rotate. Yeah. So this is a little more open. Yep. Yep. You can be a little bit longer. Yep. Good. You can have yours a little more. Yeah, we got plenty of room. Good. All right, cool. Relax. So that's first and second with our arms. The only other thing we'll do probably in the center is third, which is just one in first and one in second. And the other one. Yeah, so that's the arms that we'll do today. So for turnout, you have this position, you're nice and pulled up, you're already feeling your rotation, and now you're just gonna turn your feet out, scoot your heels together, and only go as far turned out as you can hold it from your hips. turnout happens from your hips. It shouldn't happen from your knees or from your ankles. So if you bend your knees a little bit, you want to make sure that your knees are going straight over your toes. And you should be able to look down and just see the very inside edge of your feet. If you can't, then you are probably rolling in on your feet. So you want to make sure that your weight is evenly between the inside of your foot and the outside of your foot. If your weight is even on inside and outside, and you still can't see your feet, then you might be turned out too much either at your feet or your knees, and so you might want to just scoot it in a little bit. You really want to make sure that you're protecting your knees. You don't want to roll in on your knees. You don't want to tweak them. You get damage to them if you try to turn out too much. So wherever your turnout is great. So that's first position. Second position, you have your feet wider apart in that same turnout, same pull up, right? So second with our arms and second with our legs. And then third, you're going to cross one foot halfway over in front of the other. Third with your arms. Yeah. And then you can switch. Put the other foot in front. The other arm in front of one. And that's your other third. So those are the positions we'll use today, first, second, and third. Yeah. All right, cool. So that's the bar. And I'm going to start facing the bar. We're going to do some pliés. So I will demonstrate what we're going to do first. So in your first position, your demi-plie, you're just going to bend your knees as far as you can while keeping your heels on the floor. And then straighten back up. And to come back up, you want to think of actually squeezing your inner thighs together, and your bum also helps you get up, right? But always in ballet, you want to be using the inner thighs and the back of your legs, never your quads as like the prime movers. Yeah. Now they will get used because they're a very strong muscle. That's why we practice. Yeah. So like these are big muscles. They can work really well, but it's not going to be graceful. If you're trying to lift your leg up and you're gripping with your upper, like it's not pretty. Whereas if you could extend and engage the back of your leg, you use the floor, and then it's like more floaty. Like obviously I'm still using my quad, right? But that's not what I'm thinking of as engaging first. So we start warming them up and getting them strong just in our pliés here. So we've got demi-plie and straighten. Demi-plie, straighten, and you're going to just rise up onto your demi-point, and lower down. And then we're going to do a grand plie. So you have 2 counts for your demi, 2 more counts to get down, 2 more counts to get up, and you're going to straighten in 1 count and tendu to get to your second position. And now for second position, specifically in our pliés, you want to have it much wider than you would once you're in the center. Because we do our demi-pliés, we do our elevate. But for a grand plie, heels don't come off the ground. So you're going to go through your demi, and then you're going to keep going down until you're almost have a parallel line here at the bottom of your legs, and then you come back up. Yeah, and if your second isn't wide enough, you will either not get down very far, or to keep going down, you'll start sticking your bum out, because there's no one else that's why I just want to make sure you have a nice wide seam. And we're going to do it in third, and then we're going to do it in the other third. So, the main things to think about: keeping your heels on the ground in your dummy plie, using your inner thighs to pull yourself back up, and your turnout. Right? So rotate, rotate, rotate. So you really want to make sure that you're keeping your knees going back. So once you get into your grand plie, you want to think of almost turning out more and trying to keep that turnout as you come back up. And getting your heels back down after your grand, or in the middle of your grand plie, heels down, heels down, heels down. So you can think of getting your heels down as that, and the combination of your inner thighs and your heels coming down is what's getting you back up. So instead of pulling yourself up with your quads, right, like, you want to push down into the floor to get your heels down. Make sense? And then keeping this flat line in the front of your hips so that your shoulders stay over your hips as you go down. So you don't want to break this line in the front of your hips. You want to keep it straight, so you can think of your pelvis going straight down to the ground. And you will notice when you're facing the bar, if you get really close to the bar, you're probably leaning forward. All right, so it's a good test. Yeah, good. Okay, do you know what we're doing? Yeah, cool. Okay, I'll also talk you through. Any questions? Okay. First, second, right foot front in third, and then left foot front in third. Okay. As soon as we started, I thought, oh, I should have told them how far away to be from the bar. So, rule of thumb is basically arms in first, and then turn your hands over. And that's where you want, like, that's how far away you want to be. And so, if you're moving, right, we're in second, and then we come to third, you're gonna get a little bit closer. When you switch again, you'll get even closer, so just scoot yourself back out if you're getting too close. And you still want to keep that same rounded, so almost as if you're in first and you just turn your palms over. So you don't want to let your elbows drop. You still want to have this space between your upper arm and your body. Yeah, so you're still engaging your arms in the back, you just have a little extra support. Okay, good. How did you? So you're gonna go demi point, full point, demi point, back. Again. Yeah, we're just gonna go around. We're gonna do it front side, back side. So you're going to extend your leg to the front. I'm actually face the mirror so you can see which direction I'm going. You want to be crossed over enough, ideally, that your working heel is in front of your standing heel. And then you're gonna go as far as you can with your toes still unpointed, right? And then you're gonna keep extending your leg as you point all the way through your toes. So you don't want to think of it as, I have a foot roller, I need it. You don't want to think of it as putting weight on it here and then like pushing yourself back. You want to think of still lengthening through your leg more as you get all the way through your toes. And then to bring them back in, it's going to start shortening the line a little bit. And you want to think of bringing your pinky toe back first. So that helps you keep your turnout, your rotation, instead of leading with your heel, because then you're likely going to end up turned in. Yeah, makes sense? Okay, so that's to the front. To the side, wherever your toes are already pointing, that is your turnout. So that's the line you want to be working on. And the same thing, you're going to have basically your full, all 5 of your toes, that's what I'm trying to say, on the ground here. And then you extend your leg all the way through your point, bring it back in, and close. To the back, you want to get it again so your working heel is now behind your standing heel. And it's really only going to be maybe your first and second toe, depending on the shape of your toes and your feet and your turnout and stuff. But if that are on the ground. If you feel your pinky on the ground, you are probably either totally parallel or you're sickling, right? So you want to make sure that it's just the inside of the ball there that's touching, and then you extend, you bring it back in, and now you want to be leading with the inside of your heel to close. And you really want to make sure you're letting your foot relax when you come back into the first. So don't try and like hold your arch, right? Just you're massaging your foot against the floor, you're strengthening your feet and warming them up at the same time. Yeah? So we're gonna go front, side, back, side. And we'll do the other side, front side, back side. I'll stop the music in between. Any questions? Okay. You never want to lock it to the point where you're going to cut off circulation in the back of your knee, but you want to be fully engaged, so like pulled up, And it's gonna depend, like, I have slightly hyperextended knees, so if I walked it, like, it's morally straight, right? So I have to find that spot where it's actually straight, and that's gonna be different maybe than your legs, right? But you find that spot where it's strong and straight as it can be without. Yeah. Would you mind switching bars so I don't have to just change the height? And make sure you're in the middle so you're not in danger of kicking the edge. All right, other side. Here we go. Left leg front. So you have good turnout. Maybe just not the muscles to keep it there, right? But because when you're going to the side, you're getting farther out than where your feet are. Yeah, see, you can rotate it. You got a good turnout. Yeah. Now it's just the muscles. Yeah, keep it there. All right. So, I'm going to turn sideways to the bar for a challenge and do some more tendus. I'll show you the music, I'll show you first. So you're going to do just a regular tendu, what you just did, right? You're going through that demi point to your point, back in, so you're doing it all in one count. Out, and in. Sorry, 2 counts. 1 count out, 1 count in. 3, 4, you're going to do 5, 6, 7, 8. Move to the side, to the back, to the side. No, front, side, back. And then we're going to rise up, and do a little bit of balance. And then we're going to do back, side, front. Same thing. Rise up, balance if you want. So, going through here, turn out, turn out, turn out. Rotate it in. And so then you could really feel those turnout muscles, like, oh, what am I using, what am I not? Like, I just realized that I was doing it and I was turning out just from my hip, but I wasn't engaging my bum. Like, oh, okay, that's gonna be a different feeling, right? So just kind of pay attention to which turnout muscles you're using and which you might not be, and what can you engage without clenching, but what muscles can you recruit to help in that rotation feeling. So, timing wise, it's going to be out, in, out, rotate in, turn it out, close, then aside. To the back. Rotate it in. Out. You're gonna rise up. Easy balance if you want. Lower down. And then you go back. Make sense? Yeah. Okay. Are you comfortable being at the front of the bar with them with your watch?
I'm with it.
Awesome.
Let's try it.
So we're gonna start with our left hand on the bar.
All right.
Yeah, so the same thing for how far away from the bar you want to be. You want to bring your arms into second, and then just turn your hand over, and that's how far away you want to be. Still keeping the same space between your upper arm and the side of your rib cage. Okay, so we start at first position, And we're gonna be using our outside leg the whole time. So when your left hand's on the bar, you're using your right leg. Here we go. Right leg goes front, in, out, turn it in, turn it out, and close. To the side. Good. Go to the back. Keep your turn it in, turn it out. Good. Now rise up and balance. Make sure you're engaging your rib cage towards each other. Lower down. Right leg goes back. Turn it in, turn it out. To the side. Turn it in, out. Good. To the front. Hold on to the bar. Rise up. Good. Lower down. So you might be a little bit disengaged here. Yeah, that's a huge problem.
Yeah.
We even know our names. Like, oh yeah, that's why I'm falling backwards. Yep. All right. Cool. Other side. Left leg goes front, close, front, close, front. Turn it in, turn it out, and close. To the side. Rise. To the back. Breathing. Good, and up. Good. Yeah, so keeping your ribs engaged. Instead of thinking of like engaging your core, maybe just think of like pulling up in the front of the hips here to make this line straight and see if that helps, because that's going to engage like a little bit lower down, you know, and just see
Yeah, I feel
if
that.
that helps. Yeah, cool. All right. All right, we're gonna face the bar again because we're starting to take our legs off the ground. We're gonna do some dégages. So what we just did for tendus, we're still doing that, but we're pushing so hard on the ground that our leg actually comes off a little bit. No more than 2 inches. And then it comes back in. So out, in, out, in, out. Flex with a plie. Point it to a tendu. And we're gonna move tricky, yeah? Off the floor, déjé. Off, off, flex, tendu, close. Same thing back, same thing side. Yep. So once you're going to the back, is the hardest time to keep your hips square. So you want to feel